All gas, no brake.
And now we have liftoff. Welcome to the Now We Have Liftoff New York Jets podcast. As always, I'm your host, Frank Giampiccolo. John is running a little late tonight, but I got my main man here, Gregg. Gregg, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and let them know where they can find you at?
Okay, so like Frank said, I'm Gregg, and I do a weekly podcast on Saturdays. First and 10 NFL / New York Jets podcast. It's just me and my buddy. It's nothing fancy. We just sit and we talk Jet football. That's basically it.
Very cool. Very cool. Has it been a lot of good things to talk about as of late, probably the last 10 years or so? But why don't you tell everybody how you became a Jets fan? Because we're a special breed of people over here.
Okay. I've been a Jet fan for 46 years. Just a little 6-year-old kid at home and watching my dad and, my older cousins and uncles watching them. And I just latched on. It was like a family tradition on Sundays. Big Italian meal. You watch football. We watch the Jets. And that's how I became a Jet fan. And basically that's it. There was no play or, a highlight that reeled me in. Is that every Sunday, my uncles and my dad watched the Jets, and as a 6-year-old, I sat there with my cousins and I watched, not really understanding what I was watching, but you act like you emulate what your dad does and your older cousins. So when they cheered, I cheered. When they went, oh, I went, oh, and the rest is history,
Oh, I could definitely relate to that. But the last couple of weeks, me and John have done offensive, defense, and special teams report card. Today we're going to be talking about our free agents that we both think that the Jets should re-sign, and then we'll talk a little bit about the cap casualties of guys that Joe Douglas possibly could cut to create a little bit more flexibility in the cap, so he could build his team in the way that him and Salah feel that the Jets need to go into the future so they could start competing for the playoffs and hopefully a Super Bowl run like a la the Bengals, right? Yeah. But before we get into that, the Jets were at the Senior Bowl. They were actually one of two teams, the Jets and the Lions, coaching at the Senior Bowl, and it kind of came out that it's going to be Fant's job to lose that left tackle spot. What are your thoughts on that?
Frank, I got to tell you, and when you were on my show, I think we discussed this. I love Becton, but the weight issues scare me. He's a young kid, and the fact that he didn't recover as quick from this injury as he should have as a 22, 23-year-old kid worries me for his future and his health down the line. So I think they have to do what's best for this team. And right now, if Fant's the best option, they have to go with it. I'm sure that's not popular with a lot of Jet fans, but, that's how I see it right now.
Do you put any credence into the fact that he was probably also recovering from a foot injury in training camp, which could have been why he was slowed down by the said injury?
I'm not a doctor. It could be the reason. The one thing I will say from me, personal experience, as my weight fluctuating, I'm only talking from me. When I'm carrying heavy weight or more weight than my body's allowed, my knees bother me. So if he's playing or trying to play a demanding position at a heavier weight, those knees are going to take a beat in that. He's got to drop some of the weight. Now, I don't know if the foot could be part of the issue. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not pretending to be one. I just know when you're carrying a lot of weight, too much weight than the body could handle, those knees don't come back. They don't bounce back as well as they should. And he's a young kid. He should have bounced back a little quicker, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what happens,
Yeah, I know when the injury happened to Becton in week 1, me and John both said that we thought that was going to be a season-ending injury, just dislocation of the kneecap, and then the Jets came out and said it was going to be 5 to 6 weeks, and we're like, kind of like, okay, but not really believing them on that, just because of, that's a freak injury. That's kind of like tearing an ACL, MCL, not to that severity, but it's just such a weird injury and all the ligaments. But that being said, I do agree with you. I think Fant played at an all-pro level this past year, so I think you have to give him that opportunity, and I think it kind of well rounds the offensive line. Even if you got to move Becton over to the right side for a year, 2 years, light that fire underneath his butt. And I think you're going to get to see what type of football player he actually is. How much does he love football, or is it just the money for him?
Okay, I think we're going to see that this year, right? Because if Coach already came out and said it's kind of Fant's job to lose, Becton's working from the B position now on the depth chart. He's got to show that this is his job. He wants it back. So we're going to learn a lot this year from Becton. Like you said, if he really wants to play football, it's all about the money. We're gonna learn all that.
Absolutely. So let's get into our free agents, right? So the Jets, as of today, have a little over $48 million in cap space.
Okay.
Out of all the free agents the Jets have, is there any player that you would say is a must sign for our New York Jets?
Okay, I'm probably gonna get killed for this. Because I don't think you can never have enough O-line depth. I would love Morganmoses to come back. I think he played well enough for us. I don't mind him coming back. It's probably not a popular opinion. I don't mind. I can't think of his name. Luray. I'm drawing a blank on LDT. I wouldn't mind him coming back. I do want Berrios back, and a lot of people I've been talking to, we've been butting heads on this. The problem I'm having with Berrios is, what's the dollar amount for a guy like Berrios? As good as he played for us, Frank, once free agency happens and once the draft is done and we see what we bring in and the pieces, he's going to be back to a fourth, maybe a fifth receiver. What are you paying that? Like, what's the right amount to pay a Braxtonberrios in your mind if you were the GM?
Yeah, see, me and John kind of discussed this yesterday. I don't think it matters so much with the Jets, because I think they're going to use, if they do re-sign Berrios, they're kind of going to use him like the 49ers are using Debo.
Okay.
Right? Which is probably not the best way to use him, because I believe Elijahmoore should be used in that role, but I think the Jets view Elijahmoore as a more complete receiver. We put out there that the Jets could maybe do a 3-year deal, $20 million, and make those first 2 years guaranteed.
Okay.
Where that's going to entice him enough to come back, because you're talking over 6 to 7, 4, a little less than $7 million a year. So he'll be making probably around guaranteed $13 million. And there's only a handful of teams that are going to throw that type of money at him. I could see New England doing it, but other than that, I don't see too many other teams doing that for a pretty much kick returner or punt returner, right? Because that's a lot of money to throw at even an all-pro kick returner.
Yeah, no, I know, and it's funny that you guys say that, because me and Kevin, my partner, we said the same exact thing. Now, in week 10, someone DM'd me and asked me if I was GM, what would I sign Berrios for? And at the time, I said I do 2-year, $20 million, $10 million a year. I make $8 million of that $20 million guarantee. But then as the season went on, and I saw, he got better as the punt return. Anyway, by the end of the season, I upped it to what you said, 3-year, $25 million. And I said, $12 million of it guaranteed. And I thought that was the right number for him. But I keep hearing that his camp, and again, this is just hearsay, right? It's he said, she said, they said, we said. He wants more than that. And I don't know. And I understand in our scheme, maybe we use him differently. But in my head, I'm not an X's and O's guy, as you know. He's never going to be more than the fourth receiver on our depth chart. What do you pay that guy? Are you breaking the bank for him? That's my worry, But that's just my take.
Yeah, without a doubt. You're not going to pay him what you're paying Corey Davis, right? They don't do the same things,
Yeah.
As Jet fans, obviously we have our problems with Corey, with the drops and whatnot, and hopefully that gets better with more time with Zach and they become more on the same page. But I think and me and John are going to talk about this in the coming weeks.
Okay.
I think it's time for the Jets to start moving off of that rebuilding phase and start going into that competing phase now. So when I'm looking at the free agents that we could possibly sign, right? I don't see a player here that the Jets are going to franchise tag. The Marcus May tag is going to be way too much, being that they tagged him last year, right? And then he had all those legal troubles. I think they're going to let Crowder walk. He's going to be 29 years old by the time the season starts. And then the other guys you could pretty much sign, right? I think it's imperative that the Jets sign Duvernay Tardif.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't say the name. I'm glad you cleared that up.
I think it's imperative because you saw the growth of ConnorMcGovern once we plugged Duvernay in and Van Roten got to sit on the bench, right? We had a real starting guard there, and it kind of solidified. The run game improved. Zach's interceptions dropped dramatically. So I think it's imperative that the Jets sign Tardif.
Okay. Frank, let me ask you a quick question. I don't mean to interrupt you. With that being said, I know I got some flack from Jet fans for saying that I want the center from Iowa in the draft. I want that Taylor Lindenbaum. And I got a lot of slack from people saying, one, you don't get a center that high, either at 4 or at 10. And my comeback was that he could solidify us just like McCready did for the Chiefs when he played center. Just like back then with Mangold and Mawai, when we brought in that center who could get that line, on even level, like on the play, as our leader, that can make a big difference for us. But I got killed because everyone says he doesn't play more than one position. You need players now who could play more than one position on the line. You need more versatility on the line. What is your take? Would you take him if the Jets wanted him at 4 or at 10, or is that too high? I
wouldn't. And I love Linderbaum. I think Linderbaum is the best center prospect to come out in probably the last 15 to 20 years. Definitely since the Pouncey brothers, right?
Okay.
I think that's
high praise.
Yeah, he's right up there with the likes of Nick Mangold, and that's how. And I was scouting him throughout the whole college football season because that was a big need for us in the beginning of the year. But when you looked at the improvement from McGovern, right? So there's a couple of guys that the Jets can hit if the draft falls a certain way, if they want to go offensive line. But the improvement that the Jets offensive line showed with Duvernay makes me think that they're going to be okay, more than okay with the offensive line, because offensive line more is about continuity than it is about having the 5 best offensive linemen.
No, agree. But we're talking about now, we're looking at, is it the right side? You're looking at McGovern, Duvernay, and let's say possibly Moses, right? Am I correct?
I think you're looking at I think you're going to look at Becton
moving over. Right side. Because I'm saying that side's a little too old now, and it worries me. We want to keep Zach healthy for 10 years. Let's build a young line around him so this line grows together. Almost like, and I know, and don't get me wrong, I know there was some veterans on the team, like when we got to Brickashaw and we had Mangold, and those guys grew up with Sanchez. And even though I know we have Faneker and we had Damian Woody, some veterans around, but
And don't forget Brandon Moore. That offensive line was low. That was low. That was one of the best offensive lines the Jets had.
Agree.
That goes right there when you talk about Kevin Mawai, Jason Fabini.
Yes. Yeah.
Who was the other guard that the Giants took away from the Jets? I'm blanking.
Talking about Elliott, Jumbo Elliott?
No. It was after Jumbo. But you talk about those offensive lines, right? You don't have to always draft. Brandon Sheriff is probably going to be a free agent. So if they wanted to get some depth or have Duvernay as a depth piece, and then you're plugging in Sheriff into that offensive line, and that's also a way to do it, right?
That's fine. That's fine. And this is why I like talking to other people, because we have a different opinion. I would never say that is wrong. That's not the way to do it. I like to hear what other people have to say, and I'm glad you brought a different spin on it.
But also, you would like to sign Moses. I am dead set against signing Morgan-Moses. I thought it was going to be a great signing. After breaking, he's going to be 31 by the time the season rolls around. As you said, he's getting a little bit long in the tooth. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't see it from him.
Okay.
I really didn't. I just thought, maybe it was a scheme. And me and John kind of went back and forth on this all year because I was kind of taking Morgan to task on his play, but supposedly he was fighting an foot injury all year, foot and knee injury all year. But
now, was John in favor of Morgan? Did he?
Yeah, he liked Morgan.
Okay.
Gregg, if you had a choice between re-signing Mike White or bringing back Joe Flacco, who are you leaning towards?
I liked Mike White. Flacco. I understand everyone wants the older head in the room, somebody that the young kid could go over and talk to. But I don't want. I'd rather have Mike White, in my opinion. I'm sure other Jet fans see differently. I'd rather have Mike White. Who do you want? Who would you like to bring back?
I'm not sure. Like, Mike White's okay. He played well in spurts. That Bills game scared the crap out of me. It really did.
Okay.
I didn't like seeing that, but I kind of expected that to happen. And if I'm being a little honest, I'd probably bring back both of them.
Okay. Were you upset that we lost Josh Johnson?
Not really.
Okay.
Josh Johnson is Josh Johnson, right?
I know.
He is who he is.
He seemed to fit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
he seemed to fit the scheme well. Like, he played the position well when he got in. I understand he's a journeyman, but couldn't he be that veteran that Zach could lean on, even though, he doesn't have the experience like a Flacco doesn't, playing in big games? I don't know. I'm just asking as a Jet fan.
I think that's what's important, and I think that's what the Jets wanted. I think they wanted, when you look at Joe Flacco's won a Super Bowl before, mm-hmm. and he didn't, and it's not like a Trent Dilfer type of Super Bowl win. He had to play well for that team to win the Super Bowl, and he earned a big money contract because of it. Yeah. He had to beat the Pats up in New England. He had to win a lot of big games, make a lot of big throws, and I don't think it's coincidence that Zach's turnovers went way down once the Jets traded for Flacco.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's fact. I might be wrong and I might be overvaluing the trade, but to me, I thought that was a great trade.
Okay, so you think, if I'm understanding you right, you think Zach's interceptions went down because he got Flacco in his ear? Or do you think the injury gave him a chance to sit back and watch two other guys run the offense, and he said to himself, I could do this. I could make this happen. I'm better than these guys. I can make this happen. And just by watching, taking that month to sit back and watch, he realized, okay, now I'm seeing it. Now I'm watching it live, how it's playing out. But you think it was Joe Flacco then who was in his ear telling him?
Well, it's twofold for me,
Okay.
right? Because they brought Becht in, which is his personal quarterback coach, and they moved LaFleur up to the box.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's interacting with somebody that he's interacted with since high school. That's his. And I think that was a brilliant move by the Jets, because not only did it kind of calm everything for Zach and help build his confidence back up, but Becht also got to see how the Jets want Zach to play quarterback. So now we're going into this offseason. Becht's no longer under contract with the Jets. Now he could show Zach, all right, this is how we're going to attack this offseason, because this is how Salah, LaFleur, Douglas want you to play the position. You don't have to be Aaron Rodgers on every play. It's okay to hit those check downs, right? Like Mike White did against Cincinnati. It's all right to give the ball to your playmakers' hands, and they get paid also. Let them make those plays. So I think it's a combination of everything for Zach, and I really expect Zach to have a big year in year 2.
Okay.
And that's just my expectations. And of course, we're all gonna, it all depends on what the Jets do in free agency and the draft, and who they bring in, who they don't bring back, who they trade away. And I'll get your opinion on that, in the next coming weeks, because we're going to start next week. Me and John are going to talk about free agent targets, maybe a little trade targets here and there. But as I'm looking at our free agents that are available, there's a couple names that kind of stand out. You got Tevin Coleman, Jeff Smith, Guidry, and Foley. Any of those guys you'd bring back?
Repeat those names again real quick.
No problem. Tevin Coleman, Nathan Shepard, Jeff Smith, Foley Fatukasi.
I would love them to bring back Fatukasi. I don't think they are, because of all the money they put into Jonathan Franklin Myers. And then what we're looking at, is it next year that Richardson is up, Quincy Williams is up for contract. So I think they're going to either make Fatukasi walk, or not only make him, what I think they're going to do is they're going to make him test the market, see what the dollar value is, and see if it's worth matching. But I don't know. Are you willing to pay him? What are you going to pay him? You're going to put all our money into 3 players with Jonathan Franklin Myers and Fatukasi, and then what, you're going to have to play Quinn in next year?
Yeah, I hear you. I've been on board of not re-signing Foley. He said he's going to test the market. I think his market's going to be a little too steep for the Jets. Even though I think possibly after this year, the Jets should tag and trade Quinnen.
Really?
Yeah, Quinnen doesn't impress me. Wow. I expected a lot more out of Quinnen, especially coming into this defense. There's just
Now, Frank, I know you told me a while ago that JFM was playing out of position. So you feel like once he gets in the right, we're going to see the guy the Jets paid this money, right? Because I'm known for saying that once he got this money, I felt like he retired.
Yeah, but not really. You got to look at the pressure rates, right? Okay. Like,
well, that's why I'm asking you.
His pressure
guy.
His pressure rates were good. Like he had a couple games, but when you look at that Jets defensive line, Quinnen was out for a stretch, and even when he was playing, there were stretches where you didn't even know he was out there.
Okay.
And they were using JFM as that speed rusher. You had Bryce Huff that was hurt.
Okay.
Sheldon Rankins was hurt for part of the year. Like it was tough. It was tough sledding this year. And I think by moving JFM inside, an outside where you're using him like a utility knife is what suits him best, especially if Lawson comes back to how he was performing in camp.
Okay.
I think the Jets are going to be looking at a defensive line that's going to be very strong, especially from what we're hearing about how high they are on the 7th rounder from last year and Jonathan Marshall.
Okay.
I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see what the Jets do going forward with that. I actually, out of all those guys that I gave you, the guy that I want to see them bring back is probably Tevin Coleman. I think he played well in spurts for the Jets this year.
So does that mean you want P. Ryan to walk, right? He's one of the names you mentioned. Did you mention P. Ryan?
No, P. Ryan is, I believe, going into the last year of his contract, but I do think the Jets should cut P. Ryan. I just don't think he has it. And my listeners know that I said before the season, I said that P. Ryan was going to be the key to opening up this Jets offense. But I think it's imperative that the Jets find a running back that is different than Michael Carter. They're going to need to find that Lamont Jordan type of bruising running back that the Jets haven't had in a long time.
Okay.
Right, so before we get into our next segment, as always, this podcast is brought to everybody by DraftKings. As we know, football's over, but sports fans, if you feel the latest offer from DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is too good to pass up. I'm talking between the legs 360 windmill good. New customers can bet just $1 on any team and get $150 in free bets if they win. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you could still take your shot at a big payday. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy basketball contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot of millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Bet just $1 on any NBA team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code TPPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 years or older, minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Tennessee. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. And in New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. Now that the bills are paid, Gregg, let's talk about guys that could be cap casualties this year. Which guys would you want to cut to open up a few more dollars in cap space so the Jets could possibly go big ticket hunting for guys like maybe Davante Adams?
All right, well, Gregvanroten has to go. That's going to free up a little over $3 million. Since I'm in love with the center and I know you don't, and I want him here, I'm willing to cut McGovern. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for that one, but that's going to free up a good $10 million. And probably Sheldon Rankins as another $6 million could go. So we're looking at what, those three players over $23 million, a total of $23 million right there. So I mean that's a start. But what do you want them to do?
All right.
I know you said earlier you like McGovern, so
I do like McGovern. I think I think number one, I'm going to try to find a trade partner, and I'm going to try to trade CJmosley.
Really?
I am. I know, and
Wow.
I wish John was on here because I think we would go at it a little bit because we both think the Jets need that veteran presence. I think that was good, but there are too many. He was too inconsistent last year, and I know it was his first year back.
Mm-hmm.
But he had he did have a solid year when you look at the stats.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe a team that's defense underperformed, like a team like Kansas City that needs help on the defense would pay, I don't know, 3rd round pick, and the Jets could start using these picks that we've acquired to move back up into the 1st round. And I think that's where you might see the Jets get that Linderbaum, right? In that 20 range. Like if the Jets could get 3 first rounders in this draft, by giving away these 3rd and 4th and 5th round picks, coupling them with certain players, I think that's where we're going to really start seeing this growth, because I think Quincy Williams is going to be the Jets' future Mike linebacker going forward. I think he showed enough last year. He's showing that growth, and I think he's going to be a really good asset for the Jets. They just got to.
Go ahead. You finish.
No, and they just need to find those outside linebackers, because obviously Jared Davis wasn't it. Sherwood and Hamza Nazardine was hurt for the majority of the year, so we didn't really get to see what they could do. So that's starting off, right? And obviously Van Roten, you got to go. He's terrible, right? I would cut Croft. Was it Croft?
Yeah, the tight end.
No, it was Ryan Griffin. He's got to go. That would save another $3.5 million.
Okay.
And then you got tough decisions, right? You got Justin Hardy. If they were to cut Justin Hardy, they'd be saving roughly $2 million.
Okay.
But I think it's important to have a guy like Hardy on the team. He's just got that attitude that I feel like the Jets haven't had in forever, which is why I like Sheldon Rankins also.
Okay.
Like, no one wants to come here right now. No one. And these guys decided they want to come here. They wanted to help change the culture. I don't think it looks good
to get rid of them.
To cut them after 1 year when they're solid contributors.
Okay.
Like right. I think Mosley makes more of a sense because he's always played in that 3-4 type of scheme. And I don't know if his body type is ever going to fit what Salah's looking for. When you talk about Salah middle linebackers, it's more those Fred Warner types where they're converting from safety and coming down into the box. Those type of guys.
It doesn't worry you. Let's say it comes true and they do trade Mosley. It doesn't worry you that this team lost their defensive leader. He is their defensive leader.
Not for a team that was 31 overall in most major statistical categories. Like when I watch a Jets game, I don't think and say, "Ooh, wow, this Jets team or this Jets defense is playing out of this world," right?
Yeah, which they were, and we know that. Okay.
No, even like everyone for some reason thought these defensive backs played really well, but besides Hall, and me personally, I saw more wild plays from Eccles than I did anyone on the defensive backfield.
Okay.
But that was the best part of the defense, was the defensive backfield. When you talk about Michael Carter II, Brandon Eccles, he picked off Tom Brady against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Brandon Hall had a great year. I think if he keeps making those strides, that he's going to be a really good number 2 corner, possibly a number 1 corner in this league. But if that doesn't happen by the Jets keeping an aging middle linebacker who might be past his prime, who's never played in a 4-3 defense until last year.
Okay. And this is where I might disagree with you. When we heard Salah say all off season that they weren't too concerned about the DBs. Remember, we even freaked out when they said they were going to do this by committee, and we're like, "Oh, how do you do that? How do you do that?" Because he said it's all predicated on the defensive line attacking the quarterback, getting after the quarterback, and if you can't, these cornerback and safeties are going to burn anyway. Our D-line never attacked the quarterback the way it should, and these young kids held their own, for better or worse. I know what you're saying. We were the 31st ranked defense, so it's hard to really say. I thought I was impressed with the cornerbacks and safety play. I really was, more so than our linebacker play, and our D-line I think was just atrocious all year. But again, that's just my take on it. You were saying how JFM is with a lot of pressure and all that, and like I said, you're the X's and O's guy. I'm not. I'm the type of, I'm this Jeff fan who just watches and sees with his eyes, and I don't look at the schemes and the X's and O's. That's just not me. I'm not, I'm not that type of a guy. I just know what I see. And I thought that the DBs and the safeties played well. I was happy with everyone. Even some of the backups they brought in, like what was the kid they got from the Eagles? Riley, he played well the couple of games that he was in, but that's just my take on it. And I'm sure people are going to have different takes, and that's fine. But yeah, I thought the DBs played well, so I'll disagree with you there. But everything you said, it makes sense. I'm not going to say you were wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right. I was happy with the DB plays. I think if we could get a pass rush that could get in the quarterback's face, and 1 or 2 less seconds that quarterback has to sit back there, those DBs back there are going to look even better. And that's just my take on it.
Absolutely, right? Like the more pressure and that's kind of been San Francisco's MO. San Francisco's MO, when Salah was with Seattle, that was definitely their MO. Pressure the quarterback, play zone defense, and that is probably the way to go. NFL hater just put that he heard that the Chiefs might have $72 million in cap space to sign free agents. How is that even possible? Well, if you listen to this podcast, you know that we say that cap space is like the stock market. It's imaginary. You could finagle it any which way, how you want to finagle it, as long as you got a smart guy running things. The Chiefs don't really scare me with when it comes to the Jets and what we need to do to improve, right? The Jets are probably going to go after, I would say, definitely one wide receiver in free agency, probably some offensive line help, and then I think
a tight end.
Yeah, they have to. They have to hammer that, I believe. And then they got to, I think, buy a defense. And that's my philosophy. I believe that you buy your defense and then you build your offense. Let your offense grow, especially with a young quarterback. I believe that you should let that grow naturally. I don't primarily believe that you should buy, like if you're close, like Buffalo. Buffalo did it with Diggs, right? They brought Diggs in for a first-round pick. And that's going to kind of bring me to my next part. NFL hater also says whoever gets Allen Robinson is going to be a steal. I'm not too sure about that. He's a decent receiver. I kind of put him in the Corey-Davis categories, right? He played with Justin Fields, who's a good quarterback, and he did absolutely nothing this year. But being that I respect your opinion, but you're not going to be on with us next week when we talk free agency. Who's your couple guys that you would want the Jets to sign in free agency before we get out of here?
Good question. I like what's the is it the tight end from Dallas, Schultz?
Schultz is great. I love Schultz.
I like him. I'll be honest with you. I haven't dug into the free agency yet. I haven't really gave it a thought yet. I will. If you had me on 3 weeks from now, I'll probably have more to say on what I think. But So right now I feel bad. I feel like I'm leaving you hanging. You were nice enough to have me on. I can't answer that, and I haven't really. I would love the tight end. I don't know. I'll leave it at there for now. I'll leave it there with the tight end.
Well, let me throw a couple names at you, and let me tell you what you think about these guys. What are your feelings on Michael Gallup?
Not bad.
Do you feel does his knee injury scare you at all?
Shouldn't all knee injuries scare you? Anybody with a knee injury, like the knee is such a sensitive, any little thing, even non-contact, you're like, just planting the foot wrong could set you out for weeks, for months. So when it comes to the knee, it has to scare you. It has to.
What are your feelings on Mike Gaseki?
Every time I watch him, he just looks like a stud. But he's one of the names I saw on the list to stay away from. One of the free agents I saw.
I know, and I hear guys say you got to stay away from Gaseki, like all the talking heads, right? I like you, right? I kind of watch with my eyes, and my eyes tell me that Gaseki's kind of going to be like a Dustin Keller-ish type of football player, where he's going to struggle in the blocking scheme, but he's going to be a mismatch for anyone downfield. I've said going into the end of the season that the Jets have to sign Gaseki.
Okay.
I love Gaseki, and I'm going to talk more about this next week, so you could, everybody, like,
I will
subscribe,
listen and
comment. So there's that. You got the what's the receiver from Jacksonville? We'll talk about that next week. But I posted on Twitter about a month ago about, would you feel comfortable giving up a first rounder for Calvin Ridley? Obviously not. But obviously not a first rounder. But the Bills went out of their way to trade a first round pick to bring in Stefon Diggs to help out their young quarterback. What would you feel comfortable trading for him with what happened last year with him? Or are you just going free agency, draft to build this offense? Or is there another receiver that you would want to trade for?
Well, let's go back to the Diggs for a second. That was 2 years ago the Buffalo brought him in, correct? Buffalo was already a playoff team. He was the next piece to get them to that Super Bowl, correct? I wouldn't trade the farm right now, because we have to take the next step, which is 10 wins, a playoff berth. I'm not giving away the farm to bring in the big name wide receiver if he's not the final piece. This team has too many holes, too many things they need to mortgage the future. So that's my take on it. And people might say I'm crazy, or I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's not like we're one player away or it's the next step. This team, needs multiple pieces to, so to just bring in the one, I wouldn't do it, but that's me.
Would you be willing to trade a second or a third round pick for Ridley, being that the Jets are going to have to pay him coming up soon?
I don't think so.
Okay, is there a play? So there's no wide receiver that you would feel comfortable with trading a second round pick for to help Zach Wilson out?
No, I mean, I guess what's Ridley's contract? Do you know off the top of your head? If we did that move, which he'd probably be the best move, what do we have to pay him? What's left on his contract? Is he a free agent? No, it's a trade, you said. So what would we have to pay him?
Oh, I think you're probably looking at a Stefon Diggs type of contract. It's going to be a big contract. It's going to be big.
Now you got him and Corey Davis.
Yeah, but the Jets got an out after this year of Corey Davis. Corey Davis's contract after this year, I don't believe is guaranteed. I'm looking at Corey Davis's contract now. His base salary in 2023 is 10 point. Yeah. So the Jets owe Corey Davis guaranteed salary this year, $13 million. But the Jets, if they cut Corey Davis after the 22 season, will be saving $10.5 million. So I think this is probably Corey Davis's last year for us, because I don't, especially if he doesn't have like a really great year, I don't see the Jets bringing back Corey Davis at $10.5 million unless he restructures that. Okay. But I don't see him restructuring when he's got 1 year left to go to free agency.
Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe you're right. Maybe we would have to make that move. I guess I'll have to eat my words.
The way I look at it, and I've gone back and forth because there's a lot of good wide receivers in this draft. You know, you got Drake London, Chris Olave.
Do you like Godwin?
Yeah, I like Godwin. Godwin's gonna be a free agent. Yeah, that's one way to go. Again, he's coming off of an injury.
I know.
So that's scary. You know, the same. I was all about OBJ, but he's coming off a pretty bad injury. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they might have to go after Allen Robinson.
All right. And Devontae, too rich for our blood?
Too rich.
Okay.
He's gonna go wherever.
I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna go wherever Rodgers goes, anyways.
Okay.
All right. But Gregg, I appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me. I wish I had more to say. I wish I did a little more homework and a little more.
No, it's okay. We get it. But everybody, I thank you for listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like, hit the subscribe. As always, you could catch us on all the listening platforms. Like, leave a comment. We appreciate it. That's how we bring out all this content to you. The more you like, the more you see us, the more we could be out there and bring on more guests like Gregg. Gregg, I'm definitely going to have you on again before this season is over.
Oh, cool! Thanks.
Or this off season is over.
You know, you have an open invitation on our show. We always told you that. You know, you and your buddy ever want to come on, your partner, you guys are more than welcome. You know.
But before we head out of here, tell my listeners where they could catch you guys again.
Okay, we're on every Saturday. We're on YouTube, First and 10 NFL / New York Jets podcast.
Gregg, thank you for the time. Everybody, we're out of here. Peace.